The Hunters is the first audio short fiction in an original series by W. Burtis. Sagebrush, like tufts of gray hair, jutted through the snow-covered plain. A Ford pickup sped over the clumps, bouncing heavily toward a distant fence, where the mountains sloped gently toward a ravine. Blane Nichols and Jim Stead, the hunters, had been out since dawn. 10 jackrabbits, 3 cottontails, 1 field mouse, and a pint of whiskey had been killed. Blane clutched the steering wheel until his knuckles became thick white knobs.
Gall dern, damn.
Angry because they hadn't killed something big like a deer or an antelope. He pressed the gas pedal to the floorboard. The truck lurched forward. Jim, riding in the back, dropped his rifle. He gripped the stock rack tightly and pressed his body against the cold metal of the pickup cab. The wind, carrying thin sheets of snow from the tops of nearby drifts, slapped his face. He curled his numb hand into a fist and pounded on the top of the cab. Blane looked back at Jim and nodded. The truck slowed and then skidded sideways, thudding against a fence post.
Damn. Glad you finally stopped.
Jim stomped his feet against the truck's floorboard and rubbed his legs, hoping the numbness in his feet would leave without too much pain.
Need to warm up.
His fingers, sensitive to the tingling pain, reddened beneath the truck's heater.
It's best to sit a spell anyway.
Blane pointed to the mountains.
And wait for them to come on down.
It would be dark in an hour or so, and the deer would work their way down ancient mountain trails to feed on prairie grass beneath the snow and on the ranch's haystacks. They sat, the cold barrels of their rifles leaning against the seat between them. They passed a pint of whiskey, smoked cigars, and bragged about other kills when Jim had visited the ranch. They talked a lot about girls. Blane told Jim he would prove what he said when they went to the dance at the Grange Hall. Heavy shadows crept along the scarped face of the mountain peaks. Jim tapped Blane on the shoulder and pointed. A doe and 2 late fawns were cautiously weaving their way along the edge of the ravine, parallel to the fence and truck. The doe in front was leading the fawns. She stopped, her ears perked up. She gazed at the truck. The boys froze. The doe and fawns moved on. The boys eased open the doors of the truck and kneeled, one knee in the snow. Blane sighted in on the doe while Jim drew down on the larger of the fawns. The shots were long, probably more than 200 yards. Jim fired first and missed. The fawn jumped, then bolted into a patch of greasewood. Blane fired. Jim and Blane stood, kicking the snow from their boots. The sweet taste of gunpowder lingered in their throats.
I got her!
They ran to the edge of the ravine where the doe had fallen. They stood on the ledge above her. They watched her, shot across the back, claw the ground.
Give me a bullet. I'll finish her off.
I'm out. Look at her, just look.
The doe, continuing her frantic movements, had managed to pull herself a few feet forward, revealing the ravine's rocky bottom.
We've got to kill her. We can't let her suffer.
They eased themselves along the narrow trail that led to the bottom of the ravine. You have your pocket knife?
I forgot. I left it at the bend.
Neither had anything, and they both knew it. They stood facing the doe, her eyes painful and pleading. Blane picked up a large rock, then, with all the power he could summon, crashed the rock against the doe's skull. She cried, her voice a high-pitched moan like a baby. He repeatedly beat her skull with the rock. She moaned continuously. Blood oozed from her nose. Powdery snow, like a silk veil, fell over them. The doe, now bleeding profusely from her nostrils, moaned loudly. She no longer tried to crawl forward and allowed her head to droop as though fighting sleep.
We'll never get it done. It'll take all night to kill her.
If you'd give me a hand, we'd get done a lot sooner.
Jim pulled a handful of grass from beneath the snow, then stooped and began washing the blood from his boots. He succeeded in smearing it until the boots changed from brown to deep auburn. Blane, balancing a heavy rock above his head, sucked in a deep breath and held it. His face reddened, his neck veins and eyes bulged. He spat and grunted, then hurled the rock against the doe's head. Her right eye burst from its socket. The eye, now held only by the optic nerve, glistened white against her gushing blood. Her head fell to the ground. She no longer moaned. Jim stood staring at the dangling eye that seemed to study the rock that had caused it to burst from its socket. Blane straddled the doe's neck and began driving the butt of his rifle into the back of her skull. When Jim could no longer watch, he walked, his legs weak and unsteady, to a nearby boulder. He leaned against the boulder, his back turned away from Blane and the doe, listening to the rhythmic thud of the rifle butt and the labored, irregular breathing of the doe and Blane's grunting. He tried to stop it but couldn't. Whiskey-streaked bile burst from his mouth and nose. He walked around to the west side of the boulder. He lit and savored the taste and the lightheaded feeling of the cigarette. He no longer heard Blane or the doe.
Jim, hey Jim, come here!
Blane, about halfway up the side of the ravine, was trying to pry loose a boulder. Bracing their backs against the frozen ledge of the ravine and their boots against the boulder, they loosened it and watched as it rumbled to the ravine bottom. It stopped a few feet from the doe's head. After resting and taking some deep breaths, they squatted, strained, and grunted as they lifted it high enough to drop on her head. They left the doe, her head resting in a pool of blood and snow between her quivering, outstretched forelegs. Smaller rocks, like ink blots, interrupted the whiteness around her. It was dark and snowing heavily by the time they climbed out of the ravine and made it to the truck. The truck bounced across the cattle guard, separating the main road from the ranch's gravel drive.
She just wouldn't give up.
Probably because of the fawns.
When they arrived at the house, a note on the screen door informed them that Blane's mother and father had left for a party at a neighboring ranch. The boys' supper, meatloaf, baked beans, and sweet potatoes, was in the oven.
We need to be heading on down to the Grange.
Whatever.
Jim sat in the bedroom on the extra bed, staring at the open duffel bag beside his boots. He didn't want to get cleaned up to go to the Grange Hall.
Your turn.
Blane stood in the doorway, his fat pink belly hiding the waistband of his underwear.
Tell you what, while you're getting ready, I'll mix us a drink.
Okay.
You pissed off?
No.
Yeah, well, wait till you see the gals that'll be at the dance. They'll perk up the old pecker. Some come all the way from Casper. And pardner, let me tell you, those bitches are scorching hot. Not like the cold uppity twats from around here.
Already the highway was spotted with patches of snow and ice. In a few hours it would be covered. Jim was glad they had taken the time to chain the car's tires before leaving the ranch. Had they used the truck with a four-wheel drive, they wouldn't have had to mess with chains. Blane insisted on using the car so they'd have a better chance at getting lucky. Jim reached under the seat where he had put an unopened fifth of whiskey. He drank about a third of a bottle of 7-Up, which he replaced with whiskey. He handed the mixed drink to Blane. Steadying the drink between his legs, Blane leaned back, pushed the Stetson hat toward the back of his head, lit a fresh cigar, and turned up the radio's volume. He chuckled at the mental image of himself, soon to be the sole owner of one of the largest ranches in the county, driving the big car, showing the townie how it is down here. He finished the drink in a few long swallows, rolled down the window, then threw the empty at a road sign. He missed.
Damn it.
He shouted over the loudness of the radio.
I have yours when you're done?
Jim watched the car's headlights float across the drift-piled snow fences. He recalled the calendar with a picture of an ocean scene and gigantic white-capped waves that hung on the north wall of McDonald's hardware store, and how the waves seemed to want to complete their role but could not. The artist had paralyzed them. Jim finished his drink, then handed the empty bottle to Blane. The parking lot in front of the Grange was filled with cars and pickup trucks, many with their headlights on and motors running. Occasionally, a dome light would flash, and whoever was inside could be seen chugging from a can of beer or bottle of whiskey. Blane parked at the back of the lot near the barbed wire fence that separated the Grange Hall from Wooten's pasture. The boys threaded their way among the cars and pickups between them and the front of the Grange Hall, a long wooden building. A crowd of men and women leaned against the wooden handrails that protected the row of concrete steps leading to the hall's front door. The men, many of them already drunk, leaned on their women. A few waved and greeted Blane and Jim. Most continued to talk. Blane introduced Jim to Larry Taft and Joe Bennett, who invited them to their car for a beer. Blane and Jim in the back seat with a case of Coors beer recounted killing the doe. Larry and Joe told Blane and Jim about the girls they had seen, and ones they knew to be easy. They continued their discussion about girls until the band. 2 guitarists, a fiddler, piano player, and drummer began tuning their instruments. They finished their beer, then hurried inside. A few married couples danced to the first 2 or 3 tunes. Blane and Jim, like the rest of the men and boys, formed a line along the hall's west wall, while the women and girls lined the east wall of the Grange Hall.
We have a request for a snowball. Let's get things rolling with Miss Judy Calloway and Mr. Blane Nichols. You know the rules. When the music stops, you find a new dance partner.
Blane and Judy, a heavy-bodied girl with dark brown hair and a full face, stood in the middle of the floor within the boundaries of the Jim's jump circle. Blane slipped his arm around Judy's waist. They turned and faced the band, then nodded. It was a fast tune. When Blane stomped, Judy stomped. When he shouted, she shouted. Jim eased toward the door for some fresh air. The music stopped. Blane hurried across the dance floor to choose Joanne Gurley, one of the girls from Casper, as his next dance partner. Judy intercepted Jim, who by now was about 10 feet from the door in fresh air.
Will you dance with me?
She pressed against him, her body soft and warm. He wanted to tell her, he didn't know why, about the doe and hunting and Blane. She didn't talk much, neither did he. The music stopped. They decided not to change partners. She told him his hands were cold. He laughed, then replied that her eyes were warm. By now the dance floor was quite crowded. About halfway through the current set, they agreed that fresh air was indicated. They decided to meet in 5 minutes beside the handrail. She shared his cigarette and asked a lot of questions. She let him kiss her and returned it. They exchanged phone numbers. She said she was really cold and shivering. They returned to the, by now, hot dance hall. Almost immediately, Blane tapped Jim on the shoulder and asked if he could cut in. Jim returned to the west wall, joining those who at the moment were without partners. Judy continued to dance with Blane. Whenever they were close enough for Jim to notice, Blane winked. Jim thought about Judy's perfume, her softness, her kiss, and exchanging phone numbers. He really wanted to go to the car and the bottle of whiskey, but couldn't for fear of interrupting Blane and Judy. Instead, he joined Larry and Joe. They listened to Radio KWOZ and played a drinking game. The loser of each round had to chug-a-lug a Boilermaker. Jim stood in the middle of the dance floor, his shirt unsnapped and his string tie dangling from his neck like a large piece of spaghetti. The hall was now empty, except for stringers of red, white, and blue crepe paper. It reminded Jim of the cemetery on Memorial Day.
Jim, buddy, partner, you gotta drive.
I don't gotta do nothing, not a damn thing.
After forcing Jim, shirtless, to run around the building several times and making him eat one hell of a lot of snow, Blane and Judy were satisfied. Jim was sober enough to drive. Blane gave Jim directions to the Calloway Ranch. Although the snow had stopped, the highway had a lot of wind-driven snowdrifts. Jim crept along the road using tire tracks from earlier cars as a guide. He tried to focus and not be distracted by the sighs and giggles from the back seat. The car had become very warm, intensifying the odors of cigarette smoke, perfume, and whiskey. Jim cracked the window, appreciating the cleansing rush of sub-zero air. Judy moaned and Blane grunted as the car bounced across the cattle guard onto the dirt road leading to the ranch house.
You can turn around up by the shed.
As they approached the shed, Judy quickly buttoned her blouse and smoothed her hair. Blane helped her with her coat. They waited until she was inside and the porch light had been turned off before heading to Blane's. Jim packed his duffel bag, then shoved it under the bed. Although awake, he feigned being asleep. He heard Blane running water, gargle, then several minutes later flush the toilet. He listened as Blane switched off the hall light and plodded down the hall toward the bedroom. He no longer heard the sound of footsteps.
We really had a good time, didn't we?
Jim did not answer. He watched through the pre-dawn grayness, deer feeding on a haystack. Soon the grayness would be whiteness, and the deer, following ancient trails, would make their way through the gullies and ravines to the mountain thickets where they bedded. Small groups of does and fawns were leaving the haystack. Jim closed his eyes. The Hungarian Hermit, an audio rendition of an original work of short fiction by W. Burtis. Chapter 1. Blane B.B. Nichols, little Jim Stead, and Barta Bart Pataki gathered at the bend. The bend is not far from town. Above and below the bend, the creek's fast currents and foaming rapids are filled with large rocks and small boulders. They jut above its surface like knuckles of a clenched fist. The bend is horseshoe-shaped. The bend is where the creek makes a lazy turn. The fast currents and foaming rapids now flow gently. In the center of the bend is a boulder the size of a small hut. Below this boulder live many, rainbow, brown, and brook trout. The Bighorn Mountains. Spring runoff of packed snow and ice has begun. The fish are sluggish and not biting. Beside the log where Blane sits is a case of yellow jackets, a nickname for cans of Coors beer. Jim places a dozen yellow jackets into a gunny sack, a large burlap bag which he lowers into the creek.
Where's the church key?
What church key?
Think fast.
Blane tossed the combination beer can bottle opener to Jim.
This end is used to open beer cans, and this end is used to uncap beer bottles.
That obvious. Why church key?
There are some folks that drink a lot of alcohol all the time. They can't stop drinking. They're alcoholics. My uncle said that if an alcoholic has to go without or stops drinking all of a sudden, he will have fits and DTs. That's when he sees things and hears things that aren't there, and his hands shake uncontrollably. Some of them will seek help. They'll join AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. It is called a church key because the folks in AA meet in churches. As long as you only drink beer, you'll be okay. It's the hard stuff. Whiskey, vodka, and the like, that gets you into trouble.
Bart, tell him about the secret police and Dr. K-Pox.
Uncle Tibor, tell me. He swear it true. I believe him. The secret police, AVH, have master of physical and psychological torture. Hear what he does. He make guards strip the prisoner. It way to strip prisoner of dignity. Then guard tie him in way that he stand and cannot bend. That when Dr. K-Pox enter, he carries satchel filled with tools. He slowly and deliberately arranged tools on table. He makes sure prisoner he see everything. I tell Blane how Dr. K-Pox inserts a glass tube into the prisoner's penis. Uncle Tibor said K-Pox has a special made vice. He put the victim penis and herrick, testicles, into vice, then he tighten. They tell K-Pox anythings and everything. K-Pox smart. He know what is true and what is lie. K-Pox cut off prisoner tongue anyway. He used tongs with razor sharp end. He make them white hot. White hot so there no blood when he cut off tongue.
How does your uncle know about the torture stuff? I mean, K-Pox made it, so his victims can't talk.
Friends and family of freed prisoner tell, most from Budapest, that where fiercest battles happen. It where revolution began. The AVH police throw tear gas grenades and fire shots into gathered protesters. They kill many. They, politikai foglyok, political prisoners, among first liberated when revolution start. Uncle, he hear too from Felkelők, rebels, that capture AVH prison guards. All say same thing about K-Pox. They tell how horrible when K-Pox's victim try urinate. The lucky ones pass out. Those that witness horrors of Kapoch live with nightmare forever. They can never move the scream of prison torture from their head. They tell how some prisoners hold urine until bladder burst. They soon smell bad. Time pass. Odor it get worse. Prisoner have high fever and shaking chill. If he lose fever, get better. Everyone know he soon die. Uncle Tibor say many no longer have sign of painful agony. He be at peace. His eyes see beyond prison. Many gently close eyes.
October 27, 1956, it was announced a new government had been formed. The newly formed government disbanded the AVH. Fighting continued throughout Hungary. At first, Soviets promised to negotiate and listen to the demands of the protesters. They lied. From the beginning, the Soviet plan was to invade when given the go-ahead. They sent enough tanks and troops to easily overpower any resistance. On November 10th, the Soviets declared victory. They announced to the world the Hungarian uprising had been suppressed. They reorganized the military and ordered them to rid society of undesirables. In other words, purge, get rid of any real or perceived political enemies. Voice of America's radio estimated the revolution resulted in more than 200,000 Hungarian refugees, most of whom fled to Austria.
I hate Soviets. They promise they withdraw army. Kibazot. Fucking liars. They increase numbers and locations of soldiers.
Jim pointed his beard toward Bart.
To life, liberty, and most important, the pursuit of happiness. Where's Blane?
In the woods. He say he have pee so much, back teeth sing anchors away.
The two-beer two-step. Happens after chugging a couple of beers.
Had trouble going. Couldn't get Dr. K-Pox out of my mind.
Did the whiskey bottle help?
Found it in the woods.
Blane placed a piece of firewood on the ground, then stepped off about 50 yards in the direction of the creek. After filling the whiskey bottle half full of creek water, he placed it on the 50-yard mark.
Fellers, meet Dr. K-Pox, alias Jim Beam.
Blane pulled a standard issue .45 caliber pistol from the waistband of his jeans.
You ever fire one of these?
No, but I use Jim Beam and make one hell of Molotov cocktail.
Why is it called Molotov cocktail?
Because of Soviet Foreign Minister Vyacheslav Molotov. He insists their planes they drop food to starving Finns. The foreign minister, son of a bitch, Soviet liar. The truth, they drop incendiary bombs. Finnish resistance name Soviet bombs, Molotov bread baskets. The Finnish resistance create own incendiaries. They put gasoline or alcohol in glass bottle with cloth wick. They throw bottle with lighted wick at Soviet tank. Glass break and gas explode. They effective against Soviet tank. The Finns say it's Molotov cocktail, our side dish for Molotov bread basket.
Bart, before you take a shot at Dr. K-Pox, there are a couple of things you should know. Don't worry about the pistol's sight. Point the barrel, as though it's your index finger, at the target. Something else. It has a lot of kick.
Recoil. It has to do with physics and Newton's third law of motion. When the pistol's fired, the bullet's explosion causes a tremendous amount of force and forward motion. The same thing has to happen in reverse. Use a firm grip and spread your legs a little bit, with slightly bent knees. Those things help. You shouldn't feel the kick as much, and you'll have a better chance of hitting the target. Its clip is full. So, one of us gets 3 shots, the others get 2. I nominate Bart to take 3 shots.
I second the motion. Call the question.
Reckon that's it. 2 yes and 1 abstain. Democracy in action.
I have to cock.
No, just release the safety and pull the trigger.
None of the shots were close. Dr. Capox, alias Jim Beam, remained standing until Blane grasped him by the neck and, shaking his finger and cussing, carried him to the creek where he held him underwater until no bubbles surfaced.
I drowned the evil son of a bitch, and I collected the reward. Here's your share.
Chapter 2. 1 year ago to the day, Blane B.B. Nichols, little Jim Stead, and Barta Bart Pataki gathered at the Bend. There have been many changes. The horseshoe shape of the creek has not changed. A boulder the size of a small hut continues to occupy its center. The Bighorn Mountains' spring runoff of ice and packed snow has begun. The dirt road leading to the Bend and beyond is now gravel. The right side of the creek's horseshoe has been cleared. The lodgepole pines and quaking aspen have been replaced by picnic tables, cement and rock fire pits, trash barrels, and an outside toilet. The center of the horseshoe where Dr. Capox, alias Jim Beam, stood is a picnic table, a few yards from which is a trail leading to an outhouse beside which is a trash barrel. There's a new fire pit. The concrete chink used to hold its rocks in place has several web-like cracks. The left side of the creek's horseshoe is a cookie cutter of the right. Throughout, there are signs with bright red block letters reminding visitors to police the area and extinguish all campfires. A year ago, the Bend was natural. It was pure. Cigarette butts, like swarms of decomposing insects, are scattered throughout. Most are around the picnic table, on top of which, next to a half case of Coors Yellow Jackets, is a mason jar lid full of lipstick-stained cigarette butts. A slight breeze pushes ribbons of grayish-white smoke at Jim. He waves the smoke away.
It's true. Smoke finds beauty, or is it? Smoke follows beauty.
Men and boys aren't beautiful, right, Bart? Women and girls are beautiful and pretty. Men and boys are good-looking and handsome.
Both can be vonzo, attractive. I hear Aunt Ida and Uncle Tibor say, "What an attractive couple."
Have you ever heard your mom or sister say, "He's so pretty"? Or a feller say, "Whoa, she's really handsome"?
Enough bullshit. Question. Why are the hottest girls attracted to jocks? And why don't they want to have anything to do with short guys?
Blane elbowed Bart.
The short answer, it's their way of looking down on guys.
Blane again elbowed Bart.
Short guys never get used to being overlooked. For the hot chick, it is a strategy. She tells her girlfriends how short guys are lonely and insecure. Being around them makes her so sad. She promises to go out with them for the sake of girls throughout the world, proclaiming it an act of charitable martyrdom. Yes, yes, resound a chorus of melodic, high-pitched voices. You're so wonderful. Girl, this is why you should be class president, not knuckle-dragging Simeon Neanderthal Bobby Larkin. Your magnanimous act of unequaled charity will propel you into sainthood. Let's hug.
Let's puke. You think April will go out with me if I put elevators in my boots and a rolled-up sock in my jeans?
She'll wonder how you grew so tall, literally overnight, and where is that god-awful odor of dirty feet coming from? She will proclaim, "Sainthood be damned. To hell with charity."
I'd roll up a fresh, clean sock.
Bart, partner, why you so quiet?
It more fun. Listen.
Yeah, well, listen to this. Dee Dee Baker told me Mamie Diddle has a crush on you.
Bast, Meg. Mamie is a plow horse. Her hair has white stripe like skunk.
Blane, tell me, the day of the doe and night of the Grange dance, why all the tissue, or was it toilet paper in the back seat? Was it from Judy's bra?
My allergies were bothering me.
Snow will do that, especially during blizzard season. Good thing Larkin wasn't around. Judy's perfume would have thrown him into status asthmaticus.
Wasn't he gladiator?
Aha, the mystery solved. Blane's a backseat glad. He ate her.
Ha ha, you assholes. would make a colicky horse shit.
Get this. Crazy-ass Larkin is going to give me $5 if I go with him to interview the King sisters.
Gonna do it?
Hell yes, I can use the money. Besides, he has an in with Toothless Johnny McIntosh. Toothless Johnny's from a time when a lot of ranch hands never learned to read and write. They'd pass the time catching up on gossip and by spinning yarns. Toothless Johnny knows more about the Hungarian Hermit than anyone. Larkin, he'll get Toothless Johnny talking about the Hermit. Bart and I will discreetly and unobtrusively take notes.
Won't work. Toothless is a bridge squatter. The older they get, the more skittish they are. He'd resent your note-taking. He'd lip-lock. How about you fetch the gunny sack? Here's the plan. Bart and I'll pick you and Larkin up at Buckhorn's.
What time?
Around 11 o'clock. We'll drop you and Larkin off at the corner of Courthouse Hill, then go up to Thorndyke Castle and make a U-way. On the way back, I'll flash my headlights once if Toothless Johnny's alone. If he's not alone, I'll flash them twice. If he's not there, I won't flash them. When you've finished meeting with Toothless Johnny, we'll get together at Thorndyke Castle.
Chapter 3. When Blane was within 100 yards of Courthouse Hill and the rock wall on which Jim and Larkin were sitting, he flashed the car's headlights one time. Toothless Johnny's straw hat with turned-up sides and downward-pointing brim obscured much of his wrinkled, leathery face. When he saw Larkin, he smiled broadly, stretching the wrinkles around his lips and mouth.
Howdy, Mr. McIntosh. Gentleman and scholar, I'd like you to meet my sidekick, little Jim Stead.
Toothless Johnny's hand was smooth, no calluses, his enlarged, scarred knuckles, reminders of an ugly past.
Pleased to make...
Toothless Johnny laughed. He laughed and laughed. He bent forward and clutched his stomach. The wrinkles of his face filled with streams of tears. He took a deep breath and wiped his eyes.
I apologize.
He again started to laugh, a couple of deep breaths then.
Pleased to make your acquaintance. I was sitting right here when Big Betty chased you up one side Main and down the other. She was swinging her newspaper bag faster than a roper going for a calf. Newspaper was a-flying. Never seed the likes of the way she screamed, hollered, and cussed. Folks scattered. Everyone except maybe Father Powell had a good laugh.
Jim's face reddened. Larkin nudged him.
Johnny, want to make a few bucks? I bet Jim here you could eat this apple without carving it up. Even if I lose, I'll give you $2. Jim, what do you say? Up it to 5?
You got one ain't quite so round and smaller?
Jim studied Johnny. Johnny studied the apple.
Sure.
That's the only one I've got. Reckon the 3 of us could go up to Holly's and get a different one.
Larkin and Jim each laid $5 silver on the bench. Toothless Johnny scooped them up and stacked them into 2 neat piles of 5 each.
I'll make do with this one. How long I got before I have to have it et?
5 minutes.
I ain't a-gonna do the core.
Don't have to. We'll call it eaten if you can see the core when the apple is turned full circle. Jim, you agree to these rules?
Yep.
Johnny, you agree to the rules?
Yep, reckon I do.
Johnny laid his pocket watch between the stacked silver dollars. Johnny's gumming an apple was one of Larkin's best cons. Here's how it worked. While Johnny and Larkin did a back and forth about the apple and the rules of the bet, Johnny presses his thumb into the apple's skin with enough force to soften the flesh beneath. Johnny took a long draw from his roll your own cigarette, which he flipped into the creek. His mouth opened wide. He positioned the apple at the ready.
Wait.
Larkin had Johnny's pocket watch.
Go!
Johnny's mouth, moving like a hooked fish out of water, broke through the skin of the apple. He turned his head to the side and spit the first bite into the creek below.
Done. It's all it. Stop the clock.
Johnny held the apple by its stem and twirled it 360 degrees.
He spit the first bite into the creek. He didn't eat it. He took a bite out of it.
Didn't notice. I was giving my attention to the watch.
Larkin sat down next to the stacked silver dollars. He appeared deep in thought.
The way I see it, here's the choices. 1. Ignore the first bite. 2. Go to Holly's and get another apple, or...
Larkin turned his attention to the watch, then simulated taking a bite from an imaginary apple and spitting it into the creek.
3. Penalize Johnny 5 seconds.
Hell, forget the first bite.
Jim smiled and shook Johnny's hand.
Larkin here tells me you know more about the Hungarian Hermit than anyone.
I heard a passel of tales about him, most from another, Hungarian Vade Galusha. Reckon Vade was before your time? During hunting season, Vade and we'd hire on as skinners for mountain meat processing and storage. They didn't make us, but said we ought to wear gloves while skinning. I did. Vade didn't. We got paid by the kind and number of animals we skinned out in a day. Vade said, "Gloves, awkward bastards, good-for-nothing sons of bitches." He'd throw 'em down. I kept mine on from the time I started in the morning till I was done work. Even wore 'em when saltin' and rollin' hides. Vade cut hisself. Damn near took off the tip of his thumb. Not long after that, he stopped showing up for work. A few months later, the Tribune carried his death notice. Tularemia's what done him in. Sorry about getting off track.
From inside his shirt, Johnny pulled a pint bottle that had been wrapped with a blue and white bandana. He took several long swallows from it.
Vade told me about a feller up in Montana who owned a circus and was a hunting talent. You ever seen the Hungarian? He's a brute of a man, a giant.
Jim tried unsuccessfully to avoid Johnny's cigarette smoke and whiskey breath.
Why you so fidgety?
I'm always this way.
The Montanan, he went all over Europe. He found the Hungarian in Romania bear wrestling. He brought him and the bear, Izzy, to Billings, Montana. This was quite some time after Cody's operation folded. Let me backtrack. Buffalo Bill Cody and the Montanan had cooked up an idea for a new act. They was gonna have a bear chase the King sisters into thick smoke from a wagon train campfire. About this time, a trick shooter on horseback rides up. He shoots the bear. The smoke clears. The bear's laying by the campfire playing dead. The shooter tips his hat and bows his horse, and the King sisters curtsy. I figure the Montanan had held on to that there idea.
Toothless Johnny took a pack of Bull Durham rolling papers from his right shirt pocket. He deftly adjusted the cigarette paper until it was the way he wanted. Next, holding the pouch's yellow string between his gums, he opened the pouch and shook the desired amount of tobacco onto the paper, the top of which he licked, then rolled over to the opposite side. He completed the cigarette by tightly twisting the end he had been holding.
Mind you, this is what Vade told me. Every show, just before intermission, there'd be a big ruckus and a woman screaming. She'd enter hollering, "Help, help," while being chased by Izzy to the center of the ring. Izzy appears to catch up to her and takes a swipe. That causes the back of her dress to fly open. The Hungarian, planted ringside in the second row of the spectators, springs forward and wrestles Izzy. The woman being chased, I might add, was Helena, the prettiest of the flyers, trapeze artists. Once she's outside the tent, the Hungarian reaches into his boot and pulls out a big shiny knife and stabs Izzy several times in the chest. Izzy falls and rolls onto his back, showing his bloody chest. On the Hungarian signal, several roustabouts run in and help carry Izzy from the tent. Every now and again, the spectators would chant, "Izzy, Izzy, Izzy." On such occasions, Izzy and the Hungarian re-enter the tent. The Hungarian holds Izzy's paw up the way a referee does the winner of a fight. It was obvious to anyone seeing the show that Izzy loved the Hungarian. Vade He told me the Hungarian went to the trouble of fixing a piece of leather and fur with a tie that went round the bear's mouth and nose. Couldn't even tell it was there. He'd done it so as the spectators couldn't see Izzy's licking the Hungarian. Izzy's nuzzling the Hungarian was okay. Nuzzling could be made to look like part of the wrestling. Vade said on warm spring days, it wasn't unusual to see Izzy and the Hungarian curled up together under a tree taking a nap.
Toothless Johnny slipped the bandana-wrapped whiskey bottle from beneath his shirt.
Larkin, how about you watch up the street? Both sides now, mind you. Jim, you watch down the street. Much obliged.
He took a long draw from the cigarette, quickly followed by several swallows from the whiskey bottle. He exhaled whiskey-laden smoke toward Jim.
The Montanan had a string of misfortunes. Vade, he told me the Hungarian tried to let the Montanan know about help that was stealing from the circus. They'd shortchange customers, double-sell tickets, water down drinks, make 3/4 bag or box of popcorn look full, mix lard with butter instead of using only butter. Then, one Saturday night, the bookkeeper, he emptied the safe and gathered from hidden places money he'd embezzled. Before dawn, he and the sideshow's dwarf, a truly beautiful little thing with long blonde hair, hit the trail. At the time they run off, she was wed to the show's knife thrower. Forgive me, I gotta go next door.
Well, what do you think?
Don't know.
Where did I leave off?
Bookkeeper and dwarf hitting the trail.
It was a good day or so before the Montanan had an inkling of what was going on, 'cause it was the end of the run in Sheridan. The next stop was Buffalo, about 40 miles down the road. Those acts and performers that had finished up liked to get an early start to the next stop. So, close to half the circus was in Buffalo, while the rest were still in Sheridan. About this time, a late spring blizzard hit. Vade said the Montanan went looking for the bookkeeper, so as they could go over receipts from Sheridan. He couldn't find him. Instead, he found an empty safe. The Montanan, he panicked. When he realized he wasn't going to be able to make payroll, he stole one of the trick riders' horses. They found the horse in downtown Sheridan, hitched to a fence post in the alley behind the Trails End bar. Vade couldn't recollect when this all happened.
Anything else?
No, reckon that's about it. Wait, one of the hands from down around Powder River heard that when Izzy was hibernating, you know, didn't you? The Hungarian built a special rock hut for Izzy to hibernate in. It's right next to the potato cellar. Back in 1949, we was hit with a nasty blizzard and rough winter. The ranch hand from Powder River maintained that to keep from starving to death, the Hungarian killed and butchered Izzy. That same cowhand swore he saw Izzy's hide on the Hungarian's door. Damn, gotta piss again. Sit tight. I'll be thinking on if I heard any other tales about the Hungarian.
Now, what do you think? Don't know. Haven't heard much of anything that would cause the Hungarian to become a hermit.
Boys, that's almost, but not quite, the best feeling that comes from down there.
Toothless Johnny nodded toward his privates.
I did recall one other. Came from Buckskin O'Marge, Doc Spence's nurse. Supposedly, the Hungarian fell in love with the pretty trapeze gal that Izzy chased. Whoever told me said Izzy was jealous and trapeze gal she feared for her life. She went looking for the Montanan, intending to tell him she was done with the god-awful Hungarian and his nasty bear. That there's the last. I'm as sure as
He laughed.
a bear shits in the woods.
Jim flipped a 50-cent piece toward Johnny. He missed catching the $50. It clanged against a metal post next to the bench, then rolled into the creek below. Jim laughed.
I'll watch your stuff if you want to wade in and get it. Be careful, the rocks are slippery and the current's fast. If you come across any newspapers on the way, give them to Big Betty or use them to wipe your ass with. If you don't want to go for the $50, you'll just have to grin and bear it.
Little shave-tail son of a bitch.
Blane and Bart are waiting. You coming?
Go ahead, I'm gonna sit a spell with Johnny.
Chapter 4.
Where's Larkin?
On the bridge with toothless Johnny. I pissed him off. You know how to get to the Hermits?
Hell yes. Long as I can remember, we'd go by his spread driving sheep and cattle up into the mountains for open range grazing.
That's not the same as taking the highway and knowing where to turn off. Turn right off the highway onto Patch Road. Go 10.5 miles down Patch. Then make another right onto Sheep Mountain Road. The Hungarian Hermit's place is on the left. You'll recognize it.
Bart, you won't believe his place. It's all rock except the door and windows. They're pine held together with strips of leather and covered with hide. There's a rock wall around his entire property. There's 2 huts, a big one and smaller one that looks like it's part of the big one. They've pretty much disappeared, but he has a water-pumping windmill that pumps water from underground into a large livestock tank.
How do you know about the door and windows?
I heard it from Josh, the foreman over at the Lazy J. The hermit doesn't get any money for driving livestock across his land. I mean, what the hell would he do with money? Before he passed, Vade made it real clear to everyone. The hermit expected folks to bring enough supplies to last him a year. We'd take half the supplies in the spring when we drive the livestock up into the mountains, the other half in the fall when we drive the livestock down from the mountains.
I could use another yellow jacket. How about you, Bart?
As we say in Hungary, jól jönne égi hidegször, köszönöm.
Is that yes or no?
Yes.
I've finished working up the questions and things to say to the hermit. You want to hear?
Sure.
1. Hello, fellow countrymen, or greetings, fellow Hungarian. 2. Where in Hungary are you from? 3. How long have you lived here? 4. Have you made this your way of life for spiritual reasons? 5. To be closer to God? 6. Are you now graced with the Lord's Holy Spirit? 7. Have you found peace and serenity? 8. When you were with the circus, did you fall in love with Helena? 9. When did Izzy pass away? If you or Blane can think of any more, I'll add them.
I have one. Does bear meat, like rattlesnake and frog legs, taste like chicken? Someone said you barely survived the blizzard of 1949, and you wouldn't have except for Izzy.
Screw you. Blane crossed from the left side of the road to the right. He parked as close as he could to the hermit's rock wall. Here.
Jim held out the list of questions and things to say, along with a bag containing 6 Coors yellow jackets and a Cheyenne Frontier Days beer opener.
Hold them until I on the other side wall.
As Bart approached the hermit's hut, Blane honked the car's horn. 3 short blasts followed by 3 long ones. He repeated the sequence several times.
I doubt either the hermit or Bart know Morse code.
From their perch on the rock wall, Jim and Blane heard Bart shout, "Szia honfitarsam," hello, fellow countrymen. Üdvözlet magyar honfitarsam, greetings from a fellow Hungarian. The Hungarian hermit emerged from the hut, using an irrigation ditch shovel as a crutch, its blade padded with cloth and burlap held together with yellow baling twine. The hermit's makeshift crutch was tucked under his left armpit. His unkept, dirty blonde and gray hair seemed to grow into his long gray beard and mustache. The left side of his coveralls was undone, exposing the soiled, long underwear beneath. Cradled under his right arm was a 12-gauge shotgun.
Hello, Barta vagyok. Szeretnék meglátogatni önt. Hello, I am Barta. I would like to visit with you.
Gyere közelebb, bedugom a lófarkamat a csinos fehér seggebe.
Bart dropped the list of questions and things to say and the bag with 6 Coors yellow jackets. The hermit stepped over the shovel, so its shaft was between his legs. As though the shovel's wooden shaft was a penis, he masturbated it. He laughed loudly and beckoned for Bart to come to him. Bart cleared the rock wall with inches to spare. When he was unable to open the glove compartment, he pounded his fist on top the dashboard.
Come on, he's got a damn shotgun. Hurry.
Jim got into the passenger side back seat. Before he was able to pull the car door to, Blane had the Chevy fishtailing and throwing dust. They sped away.
Stay on this road. We'll end up at the base of Sheep Mountain.
If I remember right, there's plenty of places to park. There might be a picnic table and other niceties. What the hell happened? Don't think I've seen you run faster or jump higher than when you were hightailing it from the hermits.
I run faster when I hear Soviet tanks and Grandpa Pataki shout, "Run, little one, run! Run to Uncle Tibor."
Come on, tell us, what did the hermit say to make you take off like that? Did it have something to do with the shovel? Did he threaten to beat you with it or stick it up your ass?
Bart closed his eyes. A few minutes later,
I erase him like blackboard from head.
there was no picnic table. There were 3 or 4 large logs. They listened to a meadowlark sing and watched high above an eagle soar in circles. They drank Coors yellow jackets. They savored the cold beauty of the Wyoming sunset. Doc Spence, an original audio presentation of short fiction by W. Burtis.
Howdy, folks. Welcome to KOWZ 1610 on your radio dial, the voice of northeastern Wyoming and southeastern Montana, your source for local and regional news, weather, and sports. I have Captain Robert Willis of the Wyoming State Highway Patrol on line 1.
Folks, it's absolutely imperative you stay off the roads. Stay home. If you have an emergency, I pray you don't. Stay calm. Call the operator. Tell her it's an emergency. You will immediately be connected to the nearest highway patrol station. Stay on the line. Do not hang up. I repeat, do not hang up. Areas throughout the region report visibility is near whiteout, with high winds and major snow drifting.
That was Captain Robert Willis of the Wyoming State Highway Patrol, reminding everyone to stay off the roads. The current time and temperature, courtesy of Buckhorn Feed and Supply, home for all your farming and ranching needs. Time, 6 a.m. Temperature, minus 23 degrees Fahrenheit, with sustained winds of 40 miles per hour, gusting as high as 55 miles per hour. Okie dokie, it's that time. Time for my 2 cents worth.
Curly Johnson here. This blizzard is downright tame compared to the great one of 1949. I was a little tyke when it hit. 20 Wyomingites lost their lives. A lot more folks lost fingers and toes from frostbite. It took my Aunt June. The unraid devil caused the death of 286,000 cattle and 1.5 million sheep. Those numbers ain't right. They're way too low, 'cause they don't take into account livestock that had to be put down because of storm-related problems. For more than a week, the temperature it didn't get above 30 degrees below zero. A lot of ranchers, even with the government's help, lost everything. Many had to sell their land for pennies on the dollar. Sometimes life just ain't fair. One more thing, no matter how ugly it gets, we'll survive. We're Wyoming tough.
Thank you, Curly Johnson. Personally, I don't think any blizzard is tame. Good morning. Welcome to my 2 cents worth. You're on the air.
Howdy. My 2 cents worth is about surviving a blizzard. Keep warm, do things like make sure your house is well insulated, wear layered clothing, use heavy blankets. Some folks have coal or wood stoves or kerosene heaters they can use if their main heat source fails. Have a supply of non-perishable food, water, and medicine. Don't forget about your pets. Their needs are the same as ours. Have available for use during an emergency, candles, matches, and a flashlight with extra batteries. Put together a first aid kit. If you don't have one, get a battery-operated radio. It will keep you informed about current and changing weather conditions. Keep in touch with your family and your neighbors. You may need to share resources, clear the snow as best you can from sidewalks and driveways. It can keep you from getting snowed in. It will also enable emergency access to your living quarters. Make a survival kit to keep in your car. At the very least, it should contain food, water, blankets, and a shovel. Blizzards are tough, but we're tougher and smarter. That's my 2 cents worth.
Doc Spence, Part 2.
Your dad's out back. He could use some help.
The blizzard abated as quickly as it had arrived. Les was buckling his snow boots when the radio announcer caught his attention.
This just in. I'm sorry. The frozen bodies of an adult male, an adult female, and 3 small children have been found 67 miles north of Casper, Wyoming. The bodies were discovered approximately 100 yards west of a red and white 1957 Chevy Bel Air bearing license plate North Carolina EF 7089. Apparently they were trying to make it to a nearby ranch house. Anyone with information about these folks, contact the State Highway Patrol ASAP. Please join me in a moment of silence.
Les's mother handed him 2 cinnamon rolls, or, as they were known among the family, sticky rolls. Les trudged through the snow, kicking at drifts on his way to the pickup truck. A lighted heat lamp remained under its hood. All 4 tires had snow chains. It was backed up with the tailgate down to the open garage door. Les gave his dad a sticky roll.
What do you need me to do?
Take the heat lamp and hang it over there, next to the butcher's saw. Shovel a path from the pickup to the middle of the street.
Boy, the pig slop smells good. His dad pointed a steaming shovel full of slop at Les.
Here, it's best served hot.
Halfway to the hog pen, 3 miles east of town, just past Buck White's place, next to Crystal Creek, Les bit into his sticky roll.
Oh, damn it.
What the hell's that about?
Shooting pain from my tooth down my jaw.
No reason to screech like a sissy.
Here, you can have my roll.
Thanks.
Even before his dad finished backing the pickup truck to the hog pen's main gate, Les sensed something wasn't right. Mildred, a Yorkshire gilt bred by a Hampshire boar, was laying on her right side at the back of the farrowing pen.
Take them.
His dad handed Les 2 piglets.
The others are dead. Behind the seat on the passenger side of the pickup, there's a wool blanket wrapped them in it. Start the pickup and turn the heater on high. It is in the glove compartment. Get it.
Les put the piglets inside his shirt next to his skin. He stopped at the farrowing pen entrance and looked over his shoulder. His dad was affectionately scratching Mildred behind her left ear. It was a Harrington and Richardson .22 caliber pistol that, with a full cylinder, held 9 .22 long rifle bullets.
You ought to do this.
I need to check on the piglets.
Listen, there are times when a man has to force himself to do things he doesn't want to do, or doesn't think he can do. She's in pain, a lot of pain. We've got to put her out of her misery. It's the right thing. It has to be done.
They rode back to the house, separated by a wall of cold silence.
Behind the garage, underneath the tarp, there are wood scraps, bricks, and cinder blocks. Make a pen for the piglets. I'm going to Goat Ladies. Have your mom mix 2 cups of corn syrup with 10 cups of water. Ask her to put the mixture into baby bottles and to give you a couple 20-milliliter syringes. Tell her about your tooth.
After putting together a makeshift pen, Les took the heat lamp hanging beside the butcher's saw and adjusted it until the pen's warmest spot was the corner furthest away from the garage's side door. The piglets would now be able to move freely from warm 80 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit to cool. They were very lethargic. When stimulated, they barely responded. Les squirted a few drops of corn syrup solution onto his wrist, the way his aunt did before bottle feeding her baby. Neither piglet would suck. He switched the bottle with a nipple for a 20 milliliter syringe. He dribbled warm corn syrup solution into the piglet's mouth. She swallowed several times. Suddenly she was alert and energetic. She vigorously sucked from the syringe. He repeated the technique used with the first piglet on the second piglet. She too suddenly became alert and energetic and sucked vigorously from the syringe. Les's dad returned from the goat ladies with 4 gallons of raw goat's milk, 2 bales of hay, and a bag of sawdust from the butcher shop.
Been thinking. They live. They're yours.
You sure?
You heard me? Put at least an inch of sawdust on the floor of the pen and make a pile of hay big enough so they can burrow and nest. Dinner is in half an hour.
Both piglets now readily accepted the baby bottle that had been filled with warm goat's milk. The first piglet was white with a black band, the characteristic marking of a Hampshire hog. Les held her up to eye level.
From now on, you are Millie.
The other piglet was all white like Mildred, its Yorkshire mother.
From now on, you're Molly.
Doc Spence, Part 3. Les couldn't remember which. Meg or Paula said, "Whenever we have pickled beef tongue, the whole house smells like dirty feet." Mom set the cooked tongue on a platter, usually reserved for the Christmas turkey. The bottom of the platter had a nativity scene.
Hey, look, beef tongue is licking baby Jesus.
We watched Dad perform, in a ritualistic fashion, the final steps of preparing the beef tongue. First, with lightning speed, he used a butcher's steel to hone the edge of his knife. Next, with the deftness of a skilled surgeon, he made a long slit from the tip of the tongue to its base. Then, using blunt dissection, separated the thick outer covering of tissue from the meat below, which he sliced into pieces, roughly 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch.
It's ready. So are you. I can tell from the way you're licking your chops.
Usually, during dinner, Meg or Paula would grace us with a monotony-breaking event. For instance, Paula had a habit of sniffing her food before eating it. One Friday during Lent, for dinner we had rice with milk, sugar, and cinnamon. Paula bent down to sniff. Dad pushed her head into the bowl. She emerged, her face and bangs covered with milk and milk spewing from her nose. She ran down the hall screaming and crying. Or the time Meg pointed her slightly bent index finger at Paula and said,
"Please, oh Paula, please pull my finger. I have a terrible cramp."
When Paula tugged Meg's finger, Meg expelled the loudest and longest fart in our family's history. Everyone froze. It was as though a cloud of paralysis descended upon the table. How could such a small and delicate child produce something like that?
May I be excused?
Simultaneously, Mom and Dad nodded their heads affirmatively.
You're a dum-dum dough diarrhea.
Meg crossed her eyes and stuck out her tongue.
You eat dog puke and you poop maggots.
You are the undisputed queen of the dung beetles.
You two, knock it off.
May I be excused?
You barely touched your food.
Can I get something for my tooth? Mom returned with a roll of cotton and a bottle of aspirin. She placed an aspirin between 2 teaspoons, then pressed and rocked them, until the aspirin was powdered. She then rolled a piece of cotton into a small ball, which she soaked with clove oil and coated with powdered aspirin.
Be sure to put some on your gum.
Is it okay if I spend tonight in the garage?
I guess so.
Like I was saying before we were interrupted, I was in the cooler when Edith, the bitch from Sunset Realty, came into the butcher shop. She went over to the display counter and started banging on top of it and shouted,
"Help, please. You have a customer.
"What can I help you with?"
I insist you provide me with 2 of your very best filet mignons and 2 of your best T-bones.
How thick do you want the fillets?
Between 2 and 2.5 inches. Tomorrow Brad and I are entertaining a very special guest and his wife. I'm sure we agree. The town needs another dentist.
What do you mean we? You got a turd in your pocket?
Dr. Burton and his wife are such a lovely couple. Everyone knows Doc Spence hasn't been the same since Maddie passed away. Several of the ladies in my bridge club are convinced Doc is an
How thick do you want the T-bones?
Same as the fillets. I do not want to be a gossip or to spread rumors, but the bartender at the Wrangler told Brad that most evenings Doc comes in early and stays, drinking well into the night. Generally, he's happy and enjoys socializing with the ranch hands. Other times he's surly, and occasionally he's even combative.
That comes to $10.12. She gave me $10.50.
Keep the change. Toodaloo.
Every 2 to 3 hours throughout the night, Les fed Millie and Molly, alternating between corn syrup solution and goat milk. End of Section 1. Doc Spence, Part 4. Friday during recess, Bobby Larkin cornered Les.
You stink, and you're stinking up the whole classroom.
You know what, Bobby? Yesterday, Alice and Jane stopped me, and Alice said, "Bobby stinks." I stuck up for you. I said, like shit. Lame, so lame, should've made sure it was loud, but not shouting. Told what had happened to him last Wednesday. I dared him to pretend the flagpole next to the playground was Miss Gunter. I dared him to French kiss it. He took the dare. His tongue was instantaneously welded to the fence. He started crying. Finally, Miss Gunter realized Bobby was no longer in class. She asked if anyone knew why Bobby wasn't with the rest of the class. There were a few giggles. She then launched into her, "Recess is a privilege," and ended with,
"Your recess privileges will be revoked for the next 2 weeks, unless someone tells me why Bobby isn't here."
That's when Mr. Sparks, the janitor, came into the classroom. He and Miss Gunter had a whispered conversation. Yesterday, Bobby told me what happened, just as the janitor arrived with warm water to get Bobby's tongue unstuck. Bobby had sudden and unexpected cramps and explosive diarrhea. He said, "At first it felt so warm and so good, until it began to freeze." I told him I didn't want to hear it. And I told him I didn't give a shit.
By Monday, memorize the preamble to the Constitution of the United States. Turn to page 85. We, the people of the United States.
We need to amscray, we need to make like a tree and leaf, or do like Bobby's bowels and evacuate.
In order to form a more perfect union.
Bobby wants a union with you.
Establish justice.
This is grossly unjust.
Ensure domestic tranquility.
Yeah, well, does your drunkard husband ensure domestic tranquility?
Provide for the common defense.
Common or uncommon, this is indefensible.
Promote the general welfare.
Even in warfare, being promoted to general is as high as you can go.
And secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our prosperity.
Please, please bless us with liberty.
Do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
Doc Spence, Part 5.
Bobby, hey Bobby, wait up.
You still stink.
It's the clove oil. Where you headed?
The dentist.
Same here.
Doc Spence's office was on the second floor of the Wrangler Hotel and Bar beside the law office of Frederick Irving III and down the hall from Sunrise Realty. At the end of the hall was the apartment of the King sisters, who had not been seen in public for more than 30 years. A bench and 2 chairs across the hall from Doc's office served as the waiting room. Bobby pointed to the King sisters' apartment.
You ever seen them?
No, but my dad has. Every now and then, he's asked to deliver their groceries. One time, the apartment door was partially open. Dad was told to take the bags of groceries to the kitchen and set them on the counter beside the sink.
Has he ever told you anything about them? Anything at all?
Every Thursday, Doc takes them the Weekly Tribune, and he usually stays for dinner.
How does your dad know this?
Doc comes to the butcher shop. and he'll tell Dad the stakes or whatever are for the King's sisters. Why is knowing about a couple of old biddies so important?
It just is.
Promise you'll never say anything to anyone about what I'm going to tell you.
I promise.
Both have a massive goiter that hangs down their neck from just below the chin.
What's a goiter?
An enlarged thyroid gland. It happens when people don't get enough iodine in their diet. That's why my mom uses iodized salt. Dad said they have a lot of plants. He recognized African violet, foxglove, hemlock, belladonna, deadly nightshade, and poppies with strange crisscross slits around their pods that oozed a white milky stuff. He saw a round table with a black velvet cloth cover. On it was a deck of cards, dice, and an upside-down Ouija board with a planchette. On the table were 6 black candles. He said he would never forget the bookshelf. It has 3 big leather-bound books with gold lettering. Their titles are Grimoires Volume 1, 2, and 3. Dad said they were just like the Bible on the altar of our church. On the wall above the bookshelf is a black cross. And oh yeah, one of the walls has an extra-large drawing with the words Sigillum Dei Ameth in blood-red letters. Dad said,
I had this weird feeling I don't have words for. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I had a cold chill. I heard whispered,
Sigillum Dei Ameth. Sigillum Dei Ameth. Sigillum Dei Ameth.
I felt they were calling me and pulling me to them.
Faith, the sister with the larger goiter, asked Dad if he was Doc's butcher friend. Dad told her yes, he was. Hope, the sister with a smaller goiter, handed Dad a smooth gray stone, about the size of the tip of his thumb.
It will protect you, bring you luck, and make you prosperous. It possesses magnificent iridescence. It's our way of thanking you for consistently providing us with the finest cuts of meat of the highest quality.
She then whispered something to her sister.
Some Thursday you must accompany Doc and join us for dinner.
Dad said they had another whispered conversation.
Of course, we would have to contact Maddie.
Dad said he just wanted to get the hell out of there.
Thanks. Liz, my wife would not allow it.
Okay, that's enough. Let's flip to see who goes first. Call it in the air.
Heads.
Tails.
Before Les could suggest they do best 2 out of 3. The door to Doc's office opened, and a very large woman emerged. She wore a white, heavily starched nurse's uniform.
Who won the coin toss?
I did. He's first.
Follow me.
Before following the nurse, Les said,
Bobby, think about this. The King sisters told my dad they would have to contact Maddie. Maddie was Doc's wife. She passed away several years ago. Her cause of death is still a mystery.
Doc, a portly man with a round face and thick wire-rimmed spectacles, studied Les.
What's your name?
Les Brady, sir.
Are you related to Ollie the Butcher?
He's my dad.
The dentist chair, a conglomerate of attachments, had hoses with straight and curved stainless steel ends. It had a stainless steel mechanical arm with multiple pulleys and cords, the distal end of which attached to a handheld drill. Next to the chair was a small porcelain sink. Suspended above the chair was a large spotlight with handles on each side. Doc's nurse placed a bib around Les's neck. In front of him, just below eye level, was a towel-covered tray with several different angled mirrors, oddly shaped instruments, rolls of cotton with string, a shot glass, a container of drill bits, and a 10-milliliter syringe with a long, thin needle. Doc adjusted the dental chair until he was at eye level with Les.
Which tooth?
This one.
Les pointed to a spot at the back of his lower jawbone.
Open wide, wider, more. Yep, the problem's with this rear molar. I'll have you fixed up in no time. Marge, I'll let you know when to mix the amalgam. Son, no need to numb you for this If you feel a twinge or a little pain, it won't last. Grip the arms of the chair and bear down. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Marge, now you can mix.
Doc placed cotton rolls around the tooth with a cavity. Marge positioned the curved stainless steel suction tip near the back of Les's tongue. Its sound like that of a straw when sucking the last bit of liquid from the bottom of a glass. Doc began drilling the tooth, the drill's high-pitched whine, now a high-low grind. Suddenly, sharp pain shot from Les's tooth through his jaw to his tongue.
Boy, don't you go getting hysterical.
Doc slapped Les, who bolted from the dentist chair and ran down the hall, then down the stairs 3 at a time onto the sidewalk. Bobby Larkin, a block ahead of Les, was running track star fast. Les burst through the front door, rounded the kitchen, and ran down the hall to the bedroom. He crawled under the bed. Doc Spence, Part 6.
Les, is that you?
Calm, real calm. Slow, deep breath. Slower, focus, better. Need clove oil, need cotton, need aspirin. Millie and Molly.
Les, where are you?
In my safe haven, my sanctum sanctorum, my sanctuary, my refuge. Here.
Where's here?
My bedroom. 10 seconds and she'll be at the door. 3, 2, 1.
Les, please tell me what's going on.
I won't go back. Damn, sounded like a whine.
To Doc Spence? Come sit beside me and we'll talk about it.
No, convincingly emphatic. Robust. Maybe when icebergs float in hell. Or when Doc Spence burns in hell.
What did you say?
No, ma'am.
Come out. Right this minute. Now.
He listened to her footsteps. She left the room, leaving behind silence and darkness, infinite sources of peace.
He felt the scratchy bristles of a broom.
I can't believe it. She's poking at me like a damn dog.
I don't have time for this. What's going on? Why you acting up?
Doc Spence. She adopted her loving, sweet, and caring, gentle, and compassionate mother persona.
I know. At times, Doc will get upset and curse everyone and everything, using language that would embarrass a sailor. That's just him. It's probably a flashback from when he served in World War I. You know, like your dad's nightmares about World War II.
He slapped me.
Did you say Doc slapped you?
Yes.
War hero or not, slapping a child is inexcusable.
Les put a fresh clove oil-soaked, aspirin-coated cotton ball on his tooth. It didn't help. The tooth throbbed. He cleaned, then put methylate and a Band-Aid over the cut on his cheek.
What's this?
A scratch from where Doc slapped me.
Doc said he had no choice but to slap you. You were hysterical. He also said, I don't know what kind of kid you're raising, but you had better teach him to control his emotions. I'll be damned if I will put up with such shenanigans. Your dad gave me the phone number of Dr. Burton, the new dentist in town. Whoever I talked to was very nice. When I asked about Dr. Burton, she told me he was at the morgue. I said, I am so sorry. She laughed. My husband, Dr. Burton, is a certified forensic dentist. He has been asked to help confirm the identities of those poor people that froze to death during the blizzard. He is one of the few forensic dentists familiar with techniques such as boiling and degloving. I told her what happened with Doc Spence. She promised she would have Dr. Burton call the minute he got in. Les, come here. Dr. Burton will see you tonight. He said he will meet us at the office in 30 minutes.
This time, act like a man.
Go, wait in the car. Ollie, that was uncalled for, and you damned well know it.
End of section 2. Doc Spence, Part 7. Dr. Burton's office at the corner of Main and Adams was a block north of Thorndyke Castle. An attractive blonde with a heart-shaped face and a pixie-cut hairstyle greeted Les and his mother.
This will be the waiting room. I'm completely redoing it. And that ugly thing is going to be the first to go.
She pointed to a Frederick Remington print.
How rude of me. We haven't been introduced. I'm Mildred, doctor. Burton's wife, dental assistant, and dental hygienist. You must be Les.
He was going to tell her about Mildred, the hog his dad had to shoot.
What was that?
I forgot what I was going to say.
She held Les's hand. Dr. Burton met them at the doorway of patient room number 1.
Good evening, I'm Dr. Jerry Burton.
They say you can tell a lot about a man from his grip when shaking hands. Dr. Burton's was neither bone-crushing hard or wet fish weak. He coated the area where the upper jawbone and lower jawbone meet with something that tasted like cinnamon.
Now I'm going to numb your jaw. That's it. Keep your mouth open, just like that. In a few minutes, your lower jaw, half of your tongue, and part of your lip will be numb. The feeling will return when the numbing medicine wears off.
Unreal, the difference between Doc Spence's office and this one. Doc's posters of teeth with cavities and decay, and an extra large one of diseases of the gum. Here, 2 paintings, one a doe and her fawn, the other Paul Revere and his Midnight Ride.
Want to know the reason for a picture of Paul Revere? Everyone knows he was a blacksmith. I want to see if you are numb. Did you feel that? Good. Very few people know that he was also a dentist. To the left of the picture of the doe and fawns is a small red circle. See it? Focus on the red circle. Take a slow, deep breath. Now, relax. Breathe out. Don't force it. Just let it happen. The tension throughout your body flows out as you breathe out. That's it. Slow, deep breath. Relax. Breathe out. You begin to feel sleepy. Your eyelids are heavy. You drift into a deep sleep, surrounded by a warm blanket of pleasantness. All done. It may take a while before the numbness completely wears off. Remember, don't eat or drink until it does. Like to see what I did?
Yes, sir.
This is a temporary filling. In 2 weeks, we'll replace the temporary with a permanent stainless steel crown.
Well, how was it?
Don't know. I fell asleep.
Doc Spence, Part 8.
Well, Marge, reckon that's it for today. Let's see, you've been my assistant for how long now?
Exactly 20 years today.
Marge, stay right there.
A few minutes later, Doc returned with a bottle of Taittinger La Française Brut champagne.
I apologize for not having champagne glasses.
He filled 2 tall kitchen glasses with champagne.
To 20 years and to many, many more.
He turned on the large light above the dental chair. He then centered the light so that it shone on the black velvet cover of an instrument tray, onto which he placed a $20 gold piece.
Thank you, Marge.
He refilled their glasses.
A toast to champagne, a truly elegant product of life. Here we go, you'll like this one. May your job here be as long and productive as a jumbo roll of 2-ply toilet paper. May your troubles be as few and far between as a grandmother's teeth.
He clanked his glass against hers.
Marge, one more and we can bury this soldier.
No, I've already had too much.
Half a glass, then? You'll do that, won't you? Hell, Marge, someone your size could drink a full bottle and still not be impaired.
What? Are you saying I'm big and fat?
No, nothing like that. You have a beautiful complexion and great teeth. As a matter of fact, your size reminds me of Maddie. I'll bet, when Maddie was your age, she weighed more than you. How old are you? And, be honest, how much do you weigh?
Doc, you're way out of line.
Marge grabbed the $20 gold piece.
I've been meaning to ask you, did slapping the Brady kid make you feel like a man again? Huh, did it?
Marge, I think you had better leave now.
And I think you better find a new assistant. I'm done. This time I'm serious. I mean it. I quit. You can shove the whole damn place up yours.
Against the back wall of Doc's office stood a dark oak roll-top desk. Inside it were ledgers and other business-related accoutrements. It also contained an 8x10 photograph of Maddie wearing her bridal gown. After staring at the photo for several minutes, Doc bent forward and kissed it, then closed and locked the desk. Doc Spence, Part 9. Doc sat in the far back booth of the Wrangler bar. In front of him were 3 shot glasses filled with Carstieres, the bar's house whiskey. Behind each shot glass was a stubby brown bottle of Coors Banquet beer. He softly sang and hummed, "It's a long way to Tipperary," as he dispensed with the first of the 3 shot beer combinations, most often referred to as a Boilermaker. After the second Boilermaker, he burst forth with, "Over there off key and very loud." Doc attacked the final Boilermaker, slapped the booth's tabletop, then launched into a not-so-rhythmic shout of "Liberty Forever." Doc watched, his tip for the barmaid, 2 $1 bills, float and land just short of the ashtray. He then hurried to the bar's side exit, narrowly escaping the bartender and his usual lecture about drinking alone and excessive drinking. Doc stood at the foot of the staircase leading to the second floor in his combination dentist office and apartment. He was lightheaded. He thought he might pass out. With his right hand gripping the handrail and his left arm and hand acting as a supporting brace, he began his ascent. He reached stair number 11, then turned until he was in a sitting position. Although he had only a few stairs left before the second floor landing, he stopped and rested his head against the wall.
"Doc, are you okay?"
"What do you want?" "I'm fine. Give me a hand. Your face is familiar. What's your name?"
"Lightning Joe Mays."
He extended his right hand, which Doc gripped.
"Why is your hand so sticky?"
"I put tough skin on some blisters."
"I want to get a good look at that hand. Take a seat on the stool beside the tray. With the black cover. I'll be right back."
Doc returned with a 5th of whiskey, 2 shot glasses, and a syringe filled with xylocaine. Doc adjusted the overhead light until it was directly over Lightning's hand.
"How did you get the blisters?"
"Calf roping. Well, practicing roping."
"Want a shot? This is the good stuff. Tullamore Dew Irish whiskey. Not that crap they serve downstairs."
"Reckon I will. Much obliged."
"The blisters are from bad roping technique."
"You're a dentist. You don't know calf roping."
"This might sting."
Doc put xylocaine on the inflamed areas. He then scrubbed them with bactericidal soap.
"I'm going to drain these blisters that are still intact before they burst. I know a lot about calf roping. I grew up on a ranch in northern Idaho. My older brother, Ned, and I had roping contests more times than I can count. Ned always won. He tried to make it on the pro circuit. He lasted maybe 2 months. You're probably holding the rope too tight. Don't strangle it. Pretend it's a small bird, a robin, or sparrow. Hold it. Just tight enough so it can't fly away, but not so tight you squeeze its guts out its butthole. Get some decent rope. 3/4-inch twisted manila is good. Avoid grass or singrass. They're too easy to break, and the weather affects them. How about some Irish coffee?"
"No thanks, I should head out. Debbie's downstairs. May I use your phone?"
"Over there, beside the metal cabinet."
A couple of girlfriends joined Debbie. In the bartender's words, they're having a gay old time. I asked him to tell her I would be a while longer, and to tell them the next round of drinks is on me. Sir, may I now have an Irish coffee?
"Indeed, it is not my duty, but my pleasure to serve. I do suggest, though, before marrying this fine Irish gentleman to the lovely aromatic coffee,
we excite our palate with a sample of this whiskey's divine purity. I brought this Tullamore Dew Irish whiskey and a few more before I left to come home from Ireland. Dr. Noble thought a cruise would be a good way to handle the grief of Maddie passing away.
Did it?
No, I couldn't stop thinking about how it would be if Maddie was with me. Everything we saw or did would create another memory to share. That night, Maddie paid me a visit. She wore an Aaron reading shawl. We sat on a red velvet love seat looking through a photo album. She paused at the photo of Charleville Castle, a neo-Gothic castle in Tullamore, County Offaly, Ireland. The whiskey we're drinking is from the Tullamore distillery. Maddie was more beautiful than ever. Both of us were teary-eyed. She squeezed my hand, then disappeared. The hand squeeze was identical to the one she gave me when her soul left her body.
I want to hear more about roping.
You know, your mother is related to Marge, nurse.
Everyone in this county is related to everyone else.
Marge said that before the accident, you and Debbie were engaged. She told me when Debbie realized she was going to be paralyzed from the waist down, she tried to break up with you. That true?
What's that got to do with roping?
Before thinking about throwing the rope, you need a well-trained horse. Getting him right, this requires a lot of time in the saddle. You got to make sure he will neck rein. How does he act when you approach the calf? Does he respond to your cues? Marge said Debbie wouldn't talk to you or let you see her for more than a month. Is that true?
Please, Doc, I've got 2 really well-trained quarter horses.
Next, you gotta develop your rope handling and throwing skills. The level needed for competitive roping requires practice, practice, and more practice. Use tried and proven techniques, along with ones that work for you. Next time Ned comes to visit, I'll have him watch you. Be right back. Marge said you're the one that paid most of Debbie's medical bills.
So what?
Doc placed a light blue ring box onto the black velvet tray.
Go ahead, open it. I want you to give this to Debbie.
He adjusted the overhead light until it was directly over the ring box.
Doc, I can't accept this.
Lightning lifted the 3-carat marquee-shaped diamond ring from its slot. He studied the ring from several different angles.
Doc, are you sure you are absolutely positive?
Doc set the 8x10 color portrait of Maddie wearing her wedding dress next to the now closed ring box.
If you look closely, you'll see that Maddie is wearing the diamond ring.
Doc, Maddie's beautiful, and I do see the ring. For the last time, you're absolutely sure you want me to have it? What about tomorrow when you've sobered up? You still gonna want me to take it?
Yep, Debbie. Like Maddie has a rare and special gift that allows a brief glimpse into a heart that holds pure love.
Lightning smiled broadly when Doc handed him the ring. It was then Doc noticed Lightning had an unusually large gap between 2 teeth, the right lateral incisor and right cuspid.
Doc, you okay? You're real pale. You sure you're okay?
Lightning flipped the light switch next to the door, killing all the lights except the spotlight, which now imbued Maddie's portrait with a spirit-like presence. Doc remained in the dentist chair, his elbows on his knees and his head cradled in his hands. End of section 3. Doc Spence, Part 10. A cup of mint tea, followed by a glass of bromo seltzer, relieved Doc's nausea. He leaned against the doorframe of the King sisters' apartment. He rang the doorbell slowly, almost timidly. No response.
It's Doc. Let me in.
Doc, do you have any idea of what time it is?
The sisters wore identical outfits, a white Victorian-style nightgown, and a black robe with the gold initials B.B. over the left pocket.
I have to contact Maddie. You have any special tea?
The latex isn't dry. Besides, you reek of alcohol.
Faith, the sister with the larger goiter, began preparing the black velvet-covered table for a séance. She put the Ouija board and planchette in the center of the table. She then placed the portrait of Maddie next to, but not touching the Ouija board. 6 of the black candles were placed, one to the left of and one to the right of, where each participant would sit. Grace folded 9 pieces of paper, 6 into the shape of a triangle, and 3 folded in half, creating a rectangle. She put them into her cupped hands, which she positioned within a few inches of her mouth. She then whispered an incantation. She lined up the papers, triangle, rectangle, triangle. Doc went first. The triangular piece of paper on his left revealed the Roman numeral 6, the one to his right an Arabic number 6. The rectangular piece of paper in the middle was blank. Grace was next. Roman numeral 6, blank, then Arabic number 6. Faith's Roman numeral 6, blank, Arabic number 6. Rearranged, 666 and 666. Doc scooped up the pieces of paper. They dissolved in his hand before he was able to put them into the incense burner. With uncharacteristic timidity, Doc gathered the 3 rectangular-shaped pieces of paper, his voice trembling.
There's something there, but I can't make it out.
He grasped each side of the paper between his thumb and index finger, stretched it, then moved it close to a lit candle. Sigillum Dei Ameth in blood-red Gothic lettering appeared. He did the same with the other 2 pieces of paper. The result was the same.
Doc, please, let's quit.
Faith, carrying a silver tray with a pot of coffee and a matching sugar and creamer set, approached the table.
Would you agree? Tonight is not a good time to contact Maddie.
I don't know. 1 minute the energy is negative, then positive. It's as though there's a battle to see which spirit's good or evil will prevail.
Tonight's moon is a perfect crescent. It's ideal for a séance.
Faith had a whispered consultation with Grace.
We shall continue, with the understanding that unless we establish contact within 15 minutes, the session will end.
I am the medium tonight.
The sisters nodded affirmatively. Grace moved her chair close to Faith. They again whispered.
Whispered secrets between them flow, in twin language. Only they know. A silent conversation, an unspoken bond. In their shared secrets, they fondly respond.
Doc, Faith, and Grace each placed their index finger and middle finger on the Ouija planchette.
Is anyone present?
Ouija moved to yes.
Will a spirit speak to us?
Ouija moved a short distance toward no, then changed and moved to yes.
Ouija is Lightning Joe Mays Maddie's son, yes or no?
The planchette did not move.
Ouija is Lightning Joe Mays Maddie's son, yes or no?
The planchette started toward yes, stopped, and then moved toward no.
I'll be right back.
The bottle of Tullamore Dew Irish whiskey was nearly empty. Doc quickly drank what was left.
Will one of you take over as medium?
I will. Is there anyone here?
The planchette moved to yes.
Are there any spirits who want to speak to us?
Again, yes.
Please, Ouija, yes or no, is Lightning Joe Mays Maddie's biological son?
The planchette stopped on the E of Y-E-S.
My God, oh my God.
Doc made a sweeping gesture.
Is any of this real?
His face reddened and the veins of his neck and forehead bulged.
You two are nothing more than a couple of old phonies. Excrement on the path of life. I was in the trenches at the Battle of Belleau Wood, fighting for what? For some worthless pig snot to wallow with my wife.
She came here to us. She was desperate. She had no one else.
Faith pointed to the red velvet-covered love seat beside the apartment's entrance.
She was sobbing so much it was impossible to understand what she was trying to say. Grace gave her some special tea, It had a calming effect. We again asked what happened and why she came to us. She told us she was pregnant. When asked, how could you let that happen? She told us,
I was rummaging around in the potato cellar hunting for the Jerusalem artichokes. I found a jug of Applejack. Acting upon an impulse, I took several swigs. Soon thereafter, giddy happiness replaced my sadness. I had been resentful and angry, especially with my girlfriends. They received weekly and sometimes even daily letters from their boyfriends or husbands.
She told us she no longer resented her girlfriends.
I was truly happy for them. For the first time, in a long, long time, I wanted to be around people. I wanted to tell stories, listen to jokes. I wanted to laugh.
She phoned several girlfriends. They agreed to meet at the Wrangler bar. She didn't remember leaving the bar. She said the only thing she remembered was being awakened by the loud snoring of the man she was in bed with. She refused to tell us who that man was. She said he didn't know and would never know that he was the father.
2 months later, when Maddie realized she was pregnant, she visited Buckskin, who at the time was working as a hunting guide and skinner. Buckskin told Maddie that when the three of you were with Buffalo Bill Cody and his troop, you helped several young women who ended up in the same predicament as Maddie's. Buckskin told her you could create potions and cast spells that would cause her to lose the baby.
It's true. We did help several young women.
We told Maddie we would help her. We let her know we no longer created potions or cast spells. We vowed to never again use them. One of our clients, a beautiful young woman with a bright future, took her own life. That's when we took an oath vowing to never again use potions or cast spells.
We told Maddie to return in 2 weeks with 4 $20 bills and 4 $5 bills. During that 2 week, we arranged through a confidential intermediary for the placement of the baby. 2 weeks later, Maddie returned with the money, at which time we taught her ways of disguising her pregnancy. We suggested she move in with us for the last 2 months of the pregnancy. She said she could not do that. It would draw too much attention that could potentially lead to her pregnancy being discovered. The final part of the agreement, which we wrote, and she signed, it stated that immediately after giving birth, the baby would be handed over to the intermediary, and that she, Maddie, would not see or touch the baby. She would not know if it was a boy or girl.
Doc stood, then slammed his fist into the table. The planchette bounced across the floor and came to rest in front of the wall with the words, Sigillum de Ameth. Doc stumbled around the apartment looking for the key to the bottom drawer of the roll-top desk. After several attempts, he was able to fit the key into the drawer's lock. He removed the last bottle of Tullamore Dew Irish whiskey. He then filled a Dublin-cut crystal tumbler half full of whiskey. He set the bottle on the black velvet-covered tray that earlier held Marge's $20 gold piece and the light blue ring box with Maddie's diamond ring. Doc Spence, Part 11.
Operator, please put me through to Sheriff Taft. This is Marge Butterworth. Sheriff, I'm calling from Doc Spence's office. I think you should come over here.
Marge, like most people during the age of switchboard operators and party lines, was reluctant to reveal anything over the phone, lest the operator or another party hear, knowing that whatever was said would spread like a prairie wildfire.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound.
Afterward, Bobby Larkin became a plumber's apprentice. He learned the real meaning of the word stink. Faith and Grace King are his mother's first cousins. Brad, Edith from Sunset Realty's husband, got a butt full of buckshot when caught in bed with another man's wife. Most of the town knew of the incident before his wife Edith. Captain Willis, Wyoming Highway Patrol, transferred to patrol headquarters in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Curly Johnson will continue to argue the blizzard of 1949 was the worst in Wyoming's history. Debbie married Lightning. Currently, they are living in a double-wide trailer on his family's ranch. Dr. Jerry Burton continues to practice family dentistry. He has also become a renowned consultant and authority for forensic dentistry. Dr. Burton's wife, Mildred, became a county commissioner. She was instrumental in bringing fluorinated drinking water to the community. Edith of Sunset Realty divorced Brad and moved to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, where she owns and manages an upscale hotel. Faith King and Grace King continue to be reclusive. Before being questioned by Sheriff Taft, they hid the poppies. They rearranged all of the houseplants so that the foxglove, belladonna, and deadly nightshade, among others, would go unnoticed. Frederick Irving III, eldest son Frederick Irving IV, has joined his father's law firm. He has yet to pass the bar exam. Goat Lady increased the size of her herd due to an increased demand for her products. Ollie, Les's father, and Liz, Les's mother. With the arrival of supermarkets, there was no longer a need for old-school butchers. Ollie and Liz moved to Casper, Wyoming. Ollie works at a specialty butcher shop and Liz waitresses at one of the nicer hotel restaurants. Lightning sold the diamond Doc Spence gave to him to give to Debbie. He and his Aunt Marge pooled their resources and bought an upright headstone for Doc's grave, the face of which has an engraved molar. Marge tried working with a dentist in a nearby town. She failed. She and Buckskin have a small place just south of town. Their combined incomes from farming and odd jobs enable them to live somewhat comfortably. Meg, very soon after graduating high school, got married. She and her husband have a business that continues to flourish. Mildred, hog. Carcass was disposed of in the town dump's animal pit. Molly and Millie, piglets, when grown were sold at auction. The money from their sale was used to purchase a Raytheon television set for the family. Miss Gunter divorced her alcoholic husband and eventually married the service department manager / mechanic of a local car dealership. Paula, Les's sister, received a full academic scholarship at a prestigious Midwestern university. Radio announcer took advantage of a career advancement opportunity and moved to Denver, Colorado. He eventually became syndicated. Wrangler bartender, continues to tend bar at the Wrangler Hotel and Bar. He has a landscaping business on the side. Doc Spence, an original audio presentation of short fiction by W. Burtis.